I was this complete blind, middle class, raised in suburbia for the most part, completely blind to this issue. My name is Sylvia Stanard, and I work with Youth for Human Rights here in Washington, D.C. I started volunteering with Youth for Human Rights and teaching young people their rights, what it is under the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There actually have 30 human rights. So one of them is no slavery. And in doing that, I found some people in the Washington, D.C. area, some kids who would talk about, well, my friend has this situation going on. And I was shocked, honestly, and really started finding out more about trafficking, because I had the total American view of trafficking is people imported from other low-income countries and brought here to the U.S. for trafficking purposes. In fact, I think about 70–75% of trafficking victims in the U.S. are American citizens. So it is an American problem. The other thing that was interesting is I volunteered at D.C. Jail on a program where I was working with women on life skills. One class, I brought up this issue, and everyone in the class were like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And I was shocked. I had one woman, who said that she was 11 years old when her mom started teaching her the family business. And her mom was her pimp. And she lived with her grandmother and her mom, and the grandmother and the mom were pimping her out as a little kid here in D.C. So it made it really real to me that we got to do something about this. I've also spent several years working directly with a shelter that's here in D.C. I had another program in a church, and literally we had a guy in the audience who raised his hand and he said, well, my friend told me about this girl, and if I paid $50, then I'd really be helping her out. And so, I thought I was just helping her out because she needed money and she couldn't work because she was an immigrant. She couldn't get a green card, so this is how she was working. And wasn't I just helping her? And after my brain exploded, I was kind of like, no, and really educating him on this money didn't go to her. You were not helping her, you were helping your friend who was pimping her out. That's where the money went. He was actually shocked. He really thought that he was somehow helping this girl out by, using her services. It's a big field that people have, I think, largely ignored, is the education piece for boys on why it's not okay to be involved in this. What we've done is we've created this Youth for Human Rights, which has a booklet about what are your human rights, and it's aimed for kids. So there's youth actors, youth settings, schools, and so on and so forth. Because I think it's important to start with youth and educate them and kind of cut it off for the future. I was really shocked and saddened when we had this program that was working with us and using our space for delivery to survivors. And I never thought of this, but these girls were, for the most part, the average age, that people are brought into trafficking is around 13, which if you do the math, that means you have some 9 and 10-year-olds and so on. But that's all they'd done all their lives. So they literally they didn't know how to cook eggs. They didn't know how to make breakfast. They didn't know how to have a bank account. They didn't know how to tell how much they had in the bank. The concept of waiting till Friday to get a paycheck after you've worked all day was completely foreign. They were like wanting to get paid right now, that day, because that's kind of the commercialization that they're used to. We've had quite a few conferences on Capitol Hill with 500 people. Every year we have a conference at the UN in New York and get about 3,000 people in the General Assembly building and talk about all kinds of human rights issues, but almost always we include trafficking as one of the issues. And delegates from all over the world have their own perspective, and they have their own cultural norms and some things that, well, this certain caste is expected to do that. So even with human rights advocates, sometimes I think we've had an impact of kind of changing the view a little bit. All of us need to work, as a coalition, a community, to fight human trafficking, because it is out there. It is in every little tiny small town across America. It's happening, and we all need to work together in whatever capacity to stop it, to cut it off.
My name is Rosy Orozco, a former congresswoman from Mexico who fought against the cartels and human trafficking. This year, we are launching the Heroes Wanted campaign, shining a light on extraordinary people fighting in the front lines.
So go to kaleido.charity/heroeswanted, watch their stories to help amplify their impact, and vote for the hero who inspires you the most.